Hello, good people of the internet. This is Jed from Your Guitar Academy. Today we're going to be talking about the modes of the major scale. Modes are basically, if we think of the major scale, so the C major scale, those are all the white notes on the piano. That's what we would call a parent scale. So what that means is, in music theory, we have a sequence of notes that, so in this case we've got 7. And with each of the degrees of the scale, we can have a slightly different sequence by starting and finishing on a different note within that sequence. So, for example, if we're playing the C major scale, we're starting on C and ending on C. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And that's called the major scale, or Ionian. So they have Greek names, each of these modes. So the major scale is a mode in itself. And this is made up of tones and semitones. So we've got a C to D is a tone, and then we've got D to E, and that's another tone. Then E to F is a semitone. F to G is a tone. G to A is another tone. A to B is a tone, and then that's all the 7 notes, and the next note after that is C again. So we've got tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 and then semitone. So if we start on the second note of that scale and finish on the second note, it sounds like this. So that's a slightly different sequence of the tones and semitones. Now this is called D Dorian. So if I play that over a D drone, that's a minor mode of the major scale. So what you can do with modes is you can play them in any key. So instead of playing D Dorian, what I'm going to do, actually I'm going to do this for all the modes, I'm going to play them all in C. So I'll just play the major scale for you again. So this is the first mode. So that's known as Ionian. So if I played the second mode of the major scale, but we're going to start on C, this is going to be C Dorian. So it's as if we've changed key to B flat major. Oh, wow. Sounds like an aircraft. So here's C Dorian. Now you might notice something that I noticed when I heard the modes is they each have a distinctive kind of characteristic or note in the scale, and it gives you a certain feeling. So if we look at the notes that have changed from major to Dorian, the third has been flattened and become a minor third. So instead of, we've got the 4th and the 5th are the same, the 6th is the same, then the 7th has been flattened as well, so that's a minor 7 instead of a major 7. Now a tune that uses this mode is Scarborough Fair. I'm just gonna change that, it's a bit overwhelming. So if I played this, so that's a melody that uses that mode. So that's Dorian. Let's look at the next mode. So the next mode up is Phrygian. So some people describe this as sounding kind of Spanish. Again, I'm going to play this mode in the key of C. So we've got this. Now the difference between major to Phrygian, let's go through each note. So the root note's the same. Then our second has been flattened, so it's become a minor second. So that's a very distinctive note for this mode. Our major third has been flattened, so that's a minor third. Perfect fourth is the same in relationship to the major scale. Perfect fifth is the same, and then our sixth has been flattened. So that's a minor six. Seventh has been flattened, so that's a minor seven. And then we're back to the root note. So I think the way to, just turn that off. The way to, if you want to understand them, the best way to understand them is through listening and through the sound of them. So if you play the scale yourself, if you can create a drone, it's good to play against something. So if you can create a C drone, and get used to those intervals. So like a minor second, what does that sound like? It's quite a dissonant it's quite a dissonant interval. Great, so the next mode we have is Lydian. So here's C Lydian. Yeah, I always, when I first heard Lydian, to me it sounded mysterious. That note is mystery to me. So there's only, compared to the major scale, there's only one note that's been altered, and it's the fourth note. So we've got root note, major second, major third. Instead of the perfect fourth, we're playing a sharpened fourth. And that's the distinctive note in Lydian. The rest of the notes are the same as the major scale. Great. After that, we've got Mixolydian. So here's C Mixolydian. So this is another major mode. So the difference between the major scale and this, a Mixolydian, is the seventh. So the seventh has been flattened. So that's the note that makes it Mixolydian. An example of a tune is Norwegian Wood by the Beatles. So that melody uses that mode. So the key center is C. The next mode after that is Aeolian. So this is natural minor. And that sounds like this. So let's look at the notes in that. So we've got our root note, a normal second, so a major second. Then our third has been flattened, so it's a minor third. Perfect fourth, perfect fifth. Flattened sixth, so a minor six. A flattened seventh, so a minor seventh. And then our root note again. A melody that I can think of is My Favorite Things. So there's a melody that's using that mode. The next mode after that is Locrian. So this one's I hardly ever use this. I don't think I can't think of a time when I'm playing on stage that I ever use this mode. But this is what it sounds like. So quite exotic. So compared to the major scale, we've got our root note, then our second has been flattened, so we've got a minor second. Our third has been flattened, so we've got a minor third. We've got our perfect fourth, and then our fifth has been flattened, so we've got a diminished fifth. That's kind of spicy. That's the spicy note in this one. Then our sixth has been flattened, so we've got a minor six. Seventh has been flattened, minor seventh. There's a lot of flattened notes in this one. And then the root note again. So there is one example I can think of, but I have to play it in a different key. If you've ever played Doom, the original Doom, the soundtrack uses Locrian in the riff. I think I need a bit of distortion for this. And it sounds like this. So this is a Locrian riff. There it is. So there I just went through the 7 modes of the major scale. I think the best way to understand these, I've mentioned this before, the best way to understand them is by listening. So if you do want to understand them, you can find the scale and or the mode and how to play it. So if I play this C drone again, and let's take the first mode again, major. Again, there's a million melodies that use this mode. One that springs to mind is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So you got. And I would suggest just playing around with it until it really kind of soaks in and gets in your ears. So. Yeah, something like that. Another good one is so play around with it until you can recognize it when you hear it. You're like, I know that's major because I've spent enough time playing around with it and recognizing the sound of the intervals. So let's say you're comfortable with most of them and there's one that maybe you can't recognize. Make a drone or something you can play against. It's really good to have that tonal reference, or like the key center, to get all of those intervals relating to that note, basically. So let's say, for example, you can't hear Lydian, or you feel, I can't recognize Lydian when I hear it. So take Lydian and play around with it until it starts to soak in. So yeah, with Lydian, I always think of Steve Vai. I associate that mode with him. And Joe Satriani as well, so you got Flying in a Blue Dream, I believe. Another thing that helped me kind of get more comfortable with the sound of the modes was knowing that there's only major modes and minor modes. So for the major modes, we've got the major scale. Then we've got Lydian. And then we've got Mixolydian. So maybe you could just take the major modes and become really comfortable with those, and you could spot the key note difference between that mode and the major scale. So when you hear Lydian, you know that it's the sharp 4. And really listen to it. And then do the same with Mixolydian. So that's the key note difference there, is that flattened 7th, so the minor 7. And again, play it and listen to it. Really get it in your ears. There's a great song that Sean Lane used to play. It's called Rice with the Angels, and that uses this mode, and it's such a great melody. It's something like that. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I find if I can associate a melody with the mode, it helps me remember it and retain it. So, and then we've got the minor modes. So what do we have when we've got minor modes? We have Dorian. Now Dorian, I think of Carlos Santana with this. So you've got the this is the secret Carlos Santana chord progression. So I'm going to just loop this for you. And then if I play Dorian over the top of this chord progression, I'll immediately sound like Carlos Santana. You hear that? Yeah, I could get lost in that one. That's great. So the next minor mode we have is Phrygian. And if you're not used to the sound, learn the scale shape, get it under your fingers and play around with it until it kind of sinks in. So, and notice those notes in it that kind of really stick out. Definitely that minor second. And what I do is I listen to the sound of each interval against the pitch, so the tonal center. So I've got, and this is just interval recognition. So being able to recognize a perfect fifth or something, or a minor second. I find singing really helps me. So. Great. What's after that? So we've got Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian. Great. So Aeolian is the next minor mode. So same thing. Learn the scale shape, play around with it, and see what notes are different than the major scale, and what notes stick out to you. last mode we have is Locrian, so same thing. Learn the shape and play around with it. That one there is... It's that flattened fifth combined with the other flattened notes that really... It's a spicy scale. I think it's funny, it has a lot to say, but I hardly ever use it, so... Okay, now I'm going to play 3 different modes. So I'm going to play a chord progression with one mode, and then I'm going to change to another one, different chord progression with a different mode, and then do that for a third time. And see if you can recognize what the mode is. And I'll tell you afterwards what they were. Oh yes, I'm also going to be changing key. So it's not all going to be in C. I'm going to use different keys for each different mode. Okay, so here's the next mode. Okay, so here's the last mode. Okay, so those 3 different chord progressions had 3 different modes. So let's see if you guessed correctly. So I started with Lydian, that was the first one. The second one was Dorian, and then the third one was just the major scale, Ionian. That one might have been a little trickier because I hung around on this 2 chord for quite a while, but we started and finished on the E major. So that's what made it Ionian, or the major scale. Thanks very much for watching this video. Hopefully that was informative and you can maybe hear the modes a bit better. Let us know what you think in the comments, and until next time, thanks very much.